What's up, everybody? It's Lo, your host, and we have almost everybody back for the Vols ATB crew. We've got Brando / Vol Scoops, his double alias there, and Drew. And we don't have Alex tonight. He's busy with finals. So it's just the three of us rocking and rolling. Pretty awesome weekend this past weekend. Vols swept Florida at Florida. Came close in game 3, but still got the W. So let's go to Brando with his first thoughts.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to start with game 1. That second inning of game 1 kind of, I feel like, just kind of put the foot on the throat to Florida, having 7 innings scored. Like the game 1, our bats were extremely hot. And part of it was Florida, like their infielding. I felt like their defense was pretty awful in game 1 and 2. They were kind of getting nervous in their brand new stadium, I feel like. So that we took advantage of that. I thought our assistant coaches did great the first 2 games, kind of filling in for Tony. And then it was kind of ironic how the third game was like our hardest game, having Tony back. You would think all the energy would be there to, go out there and stomp him, but we still prevailed, got the sweep on Florida. I think it was the first time they've been swamped by anyone there since like 2003, something ridiculous like that. But obviously going to give a huge shout out to the Christian guys, Christian, Scott, and Moore. Without them, we were probably only winning 2 out of 3 there. But game 1, an absolute domination. Game 2 was kind of close. And then game 3, I don't know about y'all, but I really didn't have a doubt. Everyone was kind of iffy when Drew Beam was kind of struggling there and saying, hey, it's not our night. But I just kept thinking back to Wright State and SEC games of last year with Arkansas and Vanderbilt. I'm like, well, we still got a chance. And what do you know? Christian, Scott, and Moore, they come out here, come clutch. 2-run home run and then the RBIs, and Vols got the win, got the sweep.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge, huge series win. Not just winning the series, but sweeping on the road again. I mean, for the third consecutive time this year as well, considering we swept Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. But I think, honestly, I really think this series win, this road sweep is even more impressive than the Vanderbilt and the Ole Miss, just considering that, we struggled. I mean, outside of, that 7-run inning in the first game on Friday, we struggled offensively, a lot in that whole entire series, and especially on Sunday. And just, I mean, in fact as well that our best pitcher, Drew Beam, in my opinion, he's the best starting pitcher that we have on the team, that he had easily his worst game of the season. The fact that we still came back and not just one, but still scored 6 runs is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just, I feel like we're saying this every week, and I feel like I'm repeating myself every single time we give a recap, but this team just continues to amaze me week in and week out about, just overcoming all these things. And I mean, guys, I think we should honestly consider, the conversation of this being one of the greatest college baseball teams of all time. I mean, y'all might say it might be too early, but I mean, this team is unbelievable. The best start in SEC history. First team since 2006 to sweep a Florida team in Gainesville. It's just, I mean, just speechless.
That's a lot to say for someone who's speechless.
Facts.
No, Drew, I know that we always, I always get over the top, but that's a super interesting take. I mean, this team really is phenomenal, but I still always have in the back of my head just battered Vol syndrome and just being worried. I think they're so good and they have so much talent and the swag. They really have everything they need, but I just really want them to win it all. And I would be really devastated if they didn't. But in baseball, every game can be super close. It really doesn't matter. So I don't know. We'll see. But in terms of Friday, one thing that I really liked is that they started out hot pretty early. They got 7 runs in the second inning. So I would say that's a pretty solid start. I thought it was interesting how many pitches Florida had to throw each game in the series. In Friday's game, they threw 166. I feel like that's quite a bit. Game 2, we threw 117, and they threw 153. So I don't know what it was for game 3. I didn't take time to look, but I just, it's very obvious that we're still really good at bat, keeping the ball rolling. So can't really complain too much.
Yeah. One shout out I forgot to mention, Blade Tidwell, man, having his first start, game 2, having his first start in forever, coming in against the SEC opponent. Florida's, one of the top teams in the East, and that's just, what you're saying for where the conference is right now, where the Vols are compared to everybody else. It's a big gap, but Florida's up there with the better teams in the conference. And to go out there after, all that injury and to come back and throw, really solid innings. I think it was 4 or 5 solid innings. Like, get that under your belt, and you don't know what's going to happen when Dolander comes back next week. So if, he's still projected, I think there was an article that came out. Tennessee has 3 projected top 100 picks in this year's MLB draft, which is absolutely insane with Gilbert and Beck. So if you have Tidwell come back and wherever he is on the field and get to that draft capability and come back and have a season, that's a success in my mind alone. But of course, it's right now. I think one of the commentators said, we're doing this in April, but Tennessee has to do it in June and July when it really matters, going to Omaha or regionals. And that's true. But I feel like also this kind of game is perfect because I was in a bunch of group chats, and after the Beam struggle and Florida kind of got hot there, they're like, it's just not our night. And, this sucks and I hate losing and stuff like that. But then you have them go through in all that motion. You're down, 8 innings, 9 innings, and then pick the bats up and get to work. Like, no doubt in my mind, like I said, but a lot of people did. And to come out there and have a game like that where you can pick it up and not just be, winning by 11 runs every single game, that's really, really big for a team that, has to build confidence of who they can be and who can come up and compete with them day in and day out.
And I really think as well that when we look back at this season, when, I'll just say when we do wind up winning the College World Series,
Thanks.
That one moment where, we knew that it would happen is that 9th inning where with 2 outs, we're down 2 runs, we managed to get guys on base, and then just clutch hits, not just from Christian Moore in the 9th, but in the 11th inning as well, and then that clutch grab from Christian Scott at the very end as well. I mean, if there's going to be one moment that defines that season, it's that game right there. It's just so impressive.
I agree with that. I really like that, but I just think they've already faced a ton of adversity in general too. I mean, they have had some injuries, and then with Tony V getting thrown out, and just having to deal with kind of a shitty hand in terms of umps from time to time, and not getting to do their celebrations. There's a lot of things. Oh God, Brandon's already laughing over there. I'm not going to talk any more shit about umps tonight. But
I am.
I don't know. I just think that they've really got it all, and they're really good at overcoming adversity, but they still have to come out and put in the work every single game. And I don't know. I guess we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited. It was a good weekend.
Yeah, I think this week we got Auburn coming in. Last night we handled Xavier 10-2. I didn't see that game, but I was working. But I saw there was a couple of dingers. Got the bats rolling there, which is key going into a big series this week. I've heard a lot of high talk on Auburn, and they're not a pushover, but I fully expect us to come in, win 2 out of 3. I think it's impressive overall what Florida did do. Losing their starting pitcher, coming in and throwing 3 different guys. And then that guy, their third pitcher, he had a no-hitter on us, and, through 7 innings, absolutely ridiculous until their closer came in. And it kind of was like Wright State to me, because you went off a walk-off and you extend it to a walk-off, just like Wright State when they put their reliever in and he was kind of feeling it. You kind of felt like that guy was kind of breaking, and then that dinger just kind of broke him down. So to go out there, kind of, get a complacent win, go out there, get a good series on your belt and handle adversity. Thank God we didn't ruin Tony's comeback moment, because I know he talked about that. He was kind of like, man, what's going on here? I come back and things get nervous. But all in all, really good series. And I think it's time we do say that this team is easily the best in the country. There's no doubt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 5-game lead in the conference. I think we're at almost 6.5, almost 7-game lead in the SEC East. I mean,
I think we lost Drew again. There's no way.
Oh my gosh. We are just destined. It's like when all of us aren't here, we have technical difficulties. I swear.
Oh, yeah. It's always perfect, because we even knew this episode was just a wing it. We'll be back.
Yeah. In case anyone didn't know, we really didn't plan this episode at all. I really had done it.
I mean, 3 weeks in a row, but who's counting?
I know. Last week's is one of my favorites, man.
He's back.
How do we
Drew clone live on the show.
Dude, Wi-Fi is so bad. It's embarrassing.
I like leaving Clone Drew just up in the corner. I think that's hilarious.
Is there still 2 of me now? Or
I
No,
remember the other one.
right.
I can add him back though.
Gosh.
Oh, he left. Never mind. Dang, it timed out. But I think you were getting at being the best in the East and everything like that, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, like, 5-game lead in conference among all the teams, 6.5-game lead in the SEC East. I mean, there's no argument that we're not only the best team in the SEC, but the best team in the country. And like I said earlier, this team's going to go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college baseball team of all time. I'm more than certain of that.
Going off of you saying that, a couple weeks ago you mentioned like the odds for the World Series winner. So I went and looked last night because I was like, I guess I should go ahead and place a bet or something. And Tennessee's only at plus 450, but Texas is there at like plus 1,000. And who do y'all think would be the team that we absolutely have to beat or could put us out of that? I know we're looking ahead, but fair question, I feel like.
Honestly, I'll say Texas just because other than Texas, I have no sight. I think everyone kind of had Ole Miss in the back of their mind coming into the year. And both Mississippi State and Ole Miss, the two like touted teams in the SEC, have both fallen off drastically. Like we don't even know if they'll make it to a regional. They probably won't at this point. So I think a lot of people's like lists kind of have some down. But in today's game where we're at, I've all been on Tennessee baseball. I haven't really been giving a care to any other baseball program in NCAA just because, college baseball as a whole is still very unknown to a lot of people. So Tennessee being the one team, I just have no care for it. But I think if you do, the one team that did beat us and did handle us was Texas. So you got to kind of give them a tip there. But other than that, like you haven't really heard of, I guess Miami this year, I've heard they're really, really good. So I guess my team would be Miami. But other than that, I don't really hear a lot of teams that are on our kind of level.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say Texas as well, just because, they got our number this year. And I just think mentally, especially from last year in that last World Series game as well, that like there's just something that like that they have over us. And so I think it's just more of a mental game that we would have to face and overcome. But what was that? What's going on here?
One of our YouTube chatters, he told you, Drew, get with the program. You stick to your stuff, Drew.
That is so funny. You just
you know what, Larry, fuck off. All right. I didn't have to hear that. So now you got me in a mood. So unbelievable. No, I don't even know what I'm going to say anymore. I'm too pissed off now to even think. So thanks a lot, Larry.
Dude, Brando, that was freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Just don't do it to me.
if any of our viewers do want to do like stuff like that, we have a YouTube chat on ATB Around the Block on YouTube. You can feel free to chime in on that chat. But Lo, you were saying
I don't like that.
I know. I'm just nervous of like what might possibly come up, but I guess Brando could moderate it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fun. Yeah, I kind of like it. Drew, you're just mad because you got smoked.
It's bullshit. I was in the middle of like talking and then like, just had
talking about our competition, who's going to beat us, who has a chance.
Yeah, I mean, like Texas has probably got our number, and Oregon State's a really good team. And as far as Ole Miss goes, they're probably not even going to make the conference tournament. They're dead last in the West, so they might not even make the SEC tournament.
All good points. Obviously I led in with Texas, so I was just also going to say Texas, and I just don't know. Here's the thing. I do think we're better than Texas. I just don't know why we can't figure it out against them. I mean, last year and earlier this season, I'm really not sure what's going on, but hopefully if that happens, we'll figure it out.
I guess when I think about us, I kind of think about, another team. Like you kind of think about teams from last year, like thinking about us, like we're about to go back to back. If we do go back to back, like a lot of teams don't do that. And then if you think about our COVID year where we started out 16-0, like Tennessee has the possibility under their belt to go to like back-to-back 3, Omahas or 3 regionals, like making 3 postseason, appearances. So I kind of think about teams like last year, but you think of that and you're like Vanderbilt's won. They're falling off completely this year. You think of Arizona, their coach got poached by LSU. LSU hasn't been really doing anything this year either in baseball. think of like a team like NC State. I have no idea where they're at this year, and they were in Omaha last year. Virginia is probably a good team in the SEC or ACC up there with Miami. But other than that, like you think of like last year, and I think about Tennessee, like who's really in baseball consistently doing what we're doing, going regionals and reloading your roster and having like 3 pitches in like year 3 pitchers that could easily be, top 5 round draft picks. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. You're going out there throwing rotations in. Like I think of other teams, but I really can't. Like Tennessee's just dominating college baseball.
Fully agree. So I assume that y'all think we host super regionals again this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That'll be fun. I hope I get to go again.
I mean, it'll be fun for us, but if you're another team, like, why would you want to come? Like, you're not going to want to come to Knoxville and play in that environment. Like, you think it's nasty in an SEC conference game right now. Go back and look at Wright State, like all those people that stayed in that like stadium. It's the 9th inning, down 4 or down 3, and 2 outs, and you hit a grand slam. Like, people believe in this team, and our fans are going to show up. And if we're hosting it, I just feel bad for like any team that does have to come to Knoxville and play because it's going to be awful for them.
It's crazy to think that Georgia Southern is predicted to host a regional this year in the tournament, which is wild considering we, beat them like 15,000-0 at the start of the year. So, yeah, there's not a team in the world that like I'm worried about. We could play the Atlanta Braves, and I'm pretty sure we'd beat them. So.
Oh my God!
Vols Twitter is going to come at you. You know how many of them are Braves fans?
Yeah, I know. I was there at Game 5 of the World Series. Tell them to come at me. I'd be more than happy to. So. They're not
eye for an eye. Drew has seen both the teams, and he's going with Vols baseball.
Right now, absolutely.
As if that's going to happen, let's please do it on YouTube so we can display it all. Because I would love to see all that.
Oh yeah, I would love the comments for that. This man, Euros doubling and Vols better than the Braves. I've heard it all from this man, Drew. It's crazy.
And look how close I was with the Euros double twice, by the way. Not only the Kentucky game, but the Michigan game as well. He went 9 for 9 on both those games. So. It's going to happen eventually, and I'm going to look like a genius, by the way. So
true. That's close, but no cigar.
Who cares? He almost got it. I mean, like that's basically the same thing, especially him. I mean, I feel like that's at least enough credit at that point. So,
buddy.
All right.
I guess if we want to speak on Euros, we can kind of hop into the Vols basketball side of things. Like. We lost, I guess the breaking news like 20 minutes ago was we lost another guy to the portal in Justin Powell, which I guess, if he was to live up to the hype, we'd all be upset about it. But we all know and saw what we saw this year from Justin Powell. And he never really got it together with this program. And I feel like a lot of that had to do, I've spoken on it a lot during the season, but adapting to the defense and using it to help you on offense. I feel like he never kind of fit Rick Barnes' like play style. And, to see that kind of just come here, you come from Auburn, like a school where everyone's kind of thinking about Pearl and, the existence there. And you're like, oh, we just stole one of his best players. And then to come here and kind of not pan out, it's a shame. But at the same time, it's a really, really not a big loss at all. And you can go add a valuable depth. We did land Tyreek Key, which is like a huge pickup. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that because now if we landed a guy like Tyreek, I wonder who they can go get at the shooting guard position. Like there's that Kansas State guy averaging like however many points, ridiculous. Like if you can get involved there, like, you could reload this team easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyreek Key was a big get. He averaged 17 points a game a couple of years ago. He was out last year because of a knee injury, but 17.2 points a game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. And I was looking up his stats earlier today as well. Like, and he was scoring a high number of points against some really good teams. Like, he scored 21 against Dayton a few years ago when that Dayton team was considered to be a Final Four favorite, and honestly and scored 20 against Louisville, who that same year was a top 10 team. And even during the COVID year, he dropped, 18, 19 points against Purdue on the road. So, like, it's not like he's scoring against inferior competition. Like, he's going to get up against a lot of these top 10, top 25 teams that Indiana State only faces a couple times a year anyway and still, plays decent basketball. So, I think it'd be good just to have more seniors in the lineup, have that, just type of, players, where they've played the college game and everything. And it sucks about Justin Powell. I mean, just to lose any player in general at this point because I feel like we're losing a player every week. But it was a good get, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, if you heard me talk about this previously, I never really thought Justin Powell was a great get to begin with. That was not being an asshole to him. Good comment, Larry. Um,
That's
I, um, I don't really, I'm not bothered by him leaving. I hope he like has success wherever he goes. I'm not trying to be an ass or anything. It's just, I didn't think he was good enough for what we had at the time to like get a solid amount of playing time. But it's interesting that he's leaving now after we've had all of these people like leave or KC go and all of that. So I wonder if he's just not happy or thinks he could do better in a different system or whatever. All of that's obviously speculation. I have no idea. But
In my opinion, what that tells me is that the Vols are probably expecting Vescovy to come back, and then if you're gonna be smart about it, you're opening up that spot to go and get a second guy that can actually contribute at shooting guard. Because if you're gonna go out there and roll Vescovy out there, who we all saw what happened, like we all love Vescovy, or Vescovy, whatever the fuck, but we all saw Vescovy. What happened, later in the tournament as we played Michigan, like they absolutely locked him down, and he's not going to be able to go out there like he did all SEC play, drop 20 points by himself. Like he needs another guy at that position that can come in and get you like 5 to 7 to 10 points a game, or contribute, get some assists or some rebounds, and go out there and shoot the ball. Like if you're telling me we got Justin Powell coming in after Vescovy after watching the Michigan game, and me being a guy that goes back and sees that on highlights, like I just wouldn't be confident at that position after losing KC and also potentially losing Triple J, but he's probably going to come back anyway too.
I just think with like some players like Justin Powell, like he didn't fit like under Rick Barnes' system, and he showed flashes in Bruce Pearl, but like, it felt like when you were watching him that he was like a half a step slower than everyone else out there, especially defensively. I mean, my God, like no disrespect to the kid, but he was more of a liability on defense than Victor Bailey. And that's saying something too. Like, but I mean, he just never, it doesn't seem like he ever fit in the system, kind of like how Huntley Hatfield never did as well. And he's a talented player. And I think like he will find a program where, that he'll fit in more perfectly and be efficient. But, I don't think it's a big of a loss, and I think it's like what Brando says. I think it's just indication that Vescovi's going to come back, and we may potentially even be getting someone else in the portal as well.
Speaking on that, one of our, Brando I was about to say, I hope Brando didn't dip out because I was about to ask him a question.
Okay.
Someone said you have to enter the portal before May 1st, I believe, to be eligible next season. Is that true?
Yes. So for all sports in the NCAA, you have to enter the portal before May 1st to transfer out. You cannot transfer out of conference. You can't transfer in conference no longer. But if you're a grad transfer, you can still transfer in conference and you can enter after, or you can stay in. But you don't have to decide where you're going before May 1st. You just have to enter before May 1st. So it's kind of a loophole around it. Like you can sit in there for as long as you want before the season starts, up until probably like August or something, and find you a new school. But if you're a grad transfer, and that kind of goes bolting in with football and our portal stuff, like grad transfers, if they enter from like say Alabama or Florida, like we could go out there and pursue them, which I think is really, really key. Because if you're a Tennessee team, you probably, Rick Barnes, he's going to want a guy with experience more than likely. So.
Absolutely. Thank you for answering that, because all of this stuff gets so confusing. I mean, for me and everyone else, and it seems like it's always changing. So
Yeah, you have no idea what's going on, which I think also like the NCAA kind of touched on that today. Like they were having their first meeting about their new rules and establishing like NIL and what their involvement and stuff is going to be like that, which I think it's going to pretty much be like close to nothing. It sounds like everything they're doing is going to the conferences and to like just teams in general, the schools in general, which could be smart for like a team like Tennessee when you look at football and basketball and allegations and the whole tampering ordeal with all of college sports with any other team. But like that stuff's going to be key. So if you can just go in there and kind of do your own thing and, do benefit off NIL, I think that'll be key.
100%. Speaking of the NIL and benefiting, have you seen all of these ridiculous tweets from Florida fans and everyone else about wow, Tennessee's just throwing all that money. Like, yeah, no shit. Maybe y'all should start doing it.
I think Florida fans are mad because in football, the former Vol commit Daryl Jackson D-line, he just got poached from Florida by fucking Miami, and like Mario Cristobal is out here actually stealing like everyone that Florida goes after. He's going out here in Miami and just taking him for souls. So I think a lot of that's at us after the whole baseball ordeal, and we didn't even talk about it, but the whole like wearing the helmet thing, I kind of want to touch on that too because that was fucking hilarious. But I think that has to do a lot with, the whole Miami thing. And in Tennessee, you look at that and Trayon Webb, like there's a lot of guys, Tony Mitchell, there's a lot of guys where Tennessee's after their top targets. And they're kind of seeing last year, like in the first year head coaching thing, you can't just go out and get anybody you want. You got to go out there on the field and prove it. So like they're all kind of salty about what's going on. I think it was something like Miami offered this kid $75,000 to come to play at Miami and NIL money, which is absolutely ridiculous because he wasn't like that big of a factor where he was at Maryland. Like he was a freshman year, and I think he had like 10 tackles. And you transfer out, go to the SEC, and you're making $75K. And these Florida Gator fans are just full on fair, get furious. It's absolutely like crazy.
They're just pissed that we got all that Pilot and Dish Network money. I mean, honestly. So who cares though? I mean, give these kids $15, $20 million if it means they'll come here. I couldn't care less. So get them paid.
Like it.
Yeah.
As long as we win, I really don't give a shit.
Yeah, we don't need another episode of Pruitt where we're, bribing these kids and losing to Georgia State and Vanderbilt by 25. Like we don't need that. Just win and then you get what you deserve. I mean, it's easy as that.
We also
go ahead.
I was gonna say like we also it's like key to have like now we have our state behind us, which Larry, another good point by Larry here. Well, the fact that Tennessee's passed a law to help schools with NIL collective. Drew and Larry, you have to get used to it. But
I hate this new thing that we have, by the way. I hate it with a passion.
Man, but I think that does, bode well because I think down there with like DeSantis, I think they're actually against NIL and like the funding of what Florida's doing and like the kind of pot they're putting in. And then you got Tennessee, who's now passed the NIL with their collective, and you already know that Spire is like, hopeful goal is upwards of 25, 30 million, and that's the least they want to raise. Like they want to get up to 50 to $100 million eventually, and with like all the TV contracts and the new conference like motion in college football teams moving out and joining new conferences, especially this year what we saw like with the Big 12 and Big 10 and all that. I think like you never know, like this money thing, like it could easily skyrocket, like they're their own little club, and who even knows, like it's just absolutely crazy. And that has to bode well with like the guys, we're going to jump into it later, but the guys we're getting on campus just because not only of what our staff did year one, but obviously Spire and the motion with that and the state laws, it definitely does benefit. So I can see why Gator fans and all like are mad, but honestly, you got to pipe down. I mean, baseball, is your thing. You kind of went to a World Series 5 years ago. We just swept you there. Football, you're in a first-year head coach, and you're kind of getting out-recruited by everyone and seeing what we dealt with in year one. You just got to play the process and rebuild. Like, understand that you're not elite. You're not elite. Your basketball team, baseball, football, it's just not there anymore, and you gotta rebuild it. It takes time.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We kept on beating, old Mikey White in his size medium shirt so much to the point that he bolted to Athens, their basketball programs in just shambles. We whipped their freaking baseball program like a redhead stepchild. And now we're after them for football. I mean, I would be pissed off too if I was Florida fans. It's totally understandable, so I totally get it. But there's not a damn thing they can do about it either. All right. I finally agree with Larry on something over there.
Well, I'm just so okay. I know that we are labeled like classless, but honestly, Florida has some very classless fans. Like, let's get real. And we do have a lot of idiots that make us look kind of embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. But here's my thing. We absolutely deserve this climb back up to the top. And if we're willing to shell out $100 million, then y'all just need to get your asses going because, I mean, money talks.
Sounds like they need to go to their state capital and get some bills passed. I mean, it's
true. I would start in one place though. And if you're a state-of-the-art program like Florida that you claim to be with your whole, medical field and everything that's beneficial to your school, and you just built $60 million worth of a baseball stadium, and you don't want teams making a joke out of you, I advise you to build a visitor bathroom and shower room in your baseball facility. So you don't have a baseball team traveling to your football field and putting on your helmets that they wore in 2016 when they got beat in Neyland Stadium.
So embarrassing.
Just
Not
a thought.
didn't happen to my athletic programs.
And we're talking about Florida fans being emotional and upset about something. College baseball players that have no effect on college football went out there and swept you, and because they put on a helmet, you directed to a thing that's 6 months later.
Yeah,
I just found that hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm feeling it today because it was absolutely crazy, man. It was stupid. I thought that was kind of crazy. You looked under like the Florida Rivals guy, and like everyone like commenting on our stuff, like even on our Vols ATB post, like, what's the point of this? Why are you having fun with it? Like, there is no point. Like, you're literally getting salty about it for no reason. I just found that hilarious.
That's the thing. That's the thing as well, though. It's like, if you think that like we're obnoxious just on this baseball team with the swagger they have, imagine when we're good at football again and they have this swagger. We would be the most unbearable fan base in the world. I mean, the world.
And not to cut you off,
I want everyone to hate us. I love it.
I do too. I'm so hyped up for all of it. This whole entire athletic program is going to stomp the shit out of everyone. And I think we're only like 5 years, 6 years away, maximum. Honestly, we're climbing pretty quickly, but I feel something big is going to happen. And I want everyone to hate us. I don't give a shit. That's why we're the greatest fan base, because we don't care. We just wear it and own it. Win or lose.
Larry also chiming in. I don't know if y'all heard on Sports Animal 99.1, Josh Heupel was on there with Jason Swain. He was on there with Jason Swain, and he said he was asked about what they did in the whole helmets fiasco thing. And he said, I mean, if I was them, I would have took a crown and just drove all over. I don't give a crap. Like, that was the word from our head football coach. And I feel like to have a football coach like that, like, obviously, it's, just to go on a podcast and just, understand the whole Florida thing. He was at UCF, so Florida was always a rival to him there. And then to come here and understand how serious it is, like a guy that's, a coach here that doesn't just come here and take like our rivals lightly. He's like one of us and kind of understood that. So I kind of thought that was a really, really cool part. And I think everyone's right. Like, we're on the way back to destiny. It's kind of, building a dynasty of all sports and, getting football started, like having a year going 8-4, 9-3, like that's been my prediction from the start for this year. And I think it's easily achievable with what's coming in and, how to do that. But if you can go out there, go 9-3 and then, beat Florida in Neyland, like, talk about them already being down bad. Like, I feel like we could literally make them our children.
Oh, I'll go to prison if we beat Florida in September. There's no doubt I'm going to jail that night. Oh, absolutely. I've been waiting for this moment like for years. Yeah, no doubt about it. But I just love that Heupel's like literally one of us with that comment, because you were not going to get that comment from like Pruitt or Butch. Butch would probably be talking about how we need to have some positive energy vampires, and then Pruitt is probably shitting on about how awful of a football team we are, and that Garantano has to get it together, even though he's still our quarterback. But, well, we're not a good football team, so we can't think about what the baseball team's doing, because we got to do better on the gridiron. Okay. So I just love that Heupel's one of us.
He is the most one of us of any coach I've seen in a long time. Well, I mean, Tony Vitello obviously is, but football-wise, I mean, he is amazing. Goalposts will be in the river again. I hope so.
With the amount of time that Larry's been commenting, maybe we should just have him on the show. I mean, seriously.
He should be a special guest at this point. He's like the only guy that comments on our YouTube feed. Like, it's absolutely crazy. But I think that's kind of funny to say that in the river, because like I finally got to watching Bussin' with the Boys with Coach Hype, and I feel like Hype was like, and a lot of the stuff he was like really well rounded, but it was like hilarious hearing him talk about the Ole Miss game. Like, he was like, yeah, some of their guys, they had a dehydration issue, guys. It was, it's a thing that happens, and just kind of throwing fun at it. And then he couldn't speak on stuff, and then Taylor and Will would kind of throw the joke out there and say what he wanted to say, and he's like, yeah, I mean, that kind of sounds about right. I guess you could say that without saying too much. I thought that was hilarious, but he kind of pointed out at the Vol Navy and like what could happen when this fan base, and like how he never wants it to change. But I think it's key, because with the AD and the school and the chancellor put out, and then to have our football coach be like, nah, keep doing it, like go out there and do it. And to hear him talk about how much he raves about Vol Navy, and then turning that corner and hitting the Vol walk and the whole thing. Like, if you're a recruit and you hear that kind of stuff and you're like watching YouTube and social media, man, I'd be absolutely fired up hearing a coach speak like that, man. It's great to hear.
Well, and how fucking awesome is it to have him on all of these, like the most popular things that we all listen to, and he's just shooting the shit with all of them, like holding his own. I think it's so fantastic. I mean, again, I just imagine Drew impersonating Pruitt, talking about like mustard and McDonald's and shitty football.
Well, I mean, it was not nice to throw that mustard, you know. And I've coached a lot of places, and Tennessee's great, but it's no University of Alabama, okay? You know, there's nothing like that Crimson Tide. Like, you know, he would have immediately said some shit, like nonsense like that. Like, God, I hate his guts so much.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
Somewhere that man is in New York or wherever the fuck he is now, because he lost that job there. I think too with the Giants. I don't even know where he is or how he's even holding the job. Somewhere he's there right now, looking on 24/7, looking on the Rivals composite, seeing Tennessee on 3 with a top 5 class, on Rivals with a top 10, on 24/7 with a top 10. You got the number 3 quarterback, current ranked quarterback in the nation. You got one of the top tight ends. You got receivers, coming your way. Your visit list, are talked about as like one of the most biggest visit list in year 2 for a coach. And this man, he had some COVID that, blocked him from doing what he could have done. But at the same time, I feel like, for that guy, how we raved about him being the biggest recruiter, like it's crazy what hype was already coming here in year 2 in 2023. And he's already bringing in like probably the best list this school's seen in 20 years. Like it's absolutely ridiculous when you think about Memorial Day weekend. And on top of the guys we just got a commitment, yesterday from 4-star safety, top 10 safety in the nation, Sylvester Smith. And that kid's from Munford, Alabama. So you go in there in the Pruitt's territory and the Saban's territory in Alabama, and you take one of the top players in their state who was like, I went on 24/7 and a lot of other boards, and LSU, Georgia, and Bama were all like calling this kid to hold off and not go forward with this commitment. And this kid wanted to be a Vol. So you go into Bama, take a top 10 safety in the nation. I think on Rivals, like top 60 player in the country overall. Like you just got a talented player. And year 2, I keep talking about year 2, you're going in there year 2 and you're still in these guys. Like it's crazy.
Year 2, we're getting 5-star recruits. Year 2, Pruitt's losing to Georgia State at home. It's unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
God.
I was gonna say, like he's probably not even looking at our rankings. He's probably trying to still figure out what exactly is a bagel, over there in New York. Probably, where's the biscuit? Why is this, bread have a hole in the middle of it? I've never seen anything in my life. Like, he's still probably trying to figure out how to get to work, and all this stuff. I mean, bless his heart. He probably has an IQ of 85. No offense.
That man follows one Vols account and his Vols picks for his agenda, and seeing the updated depth chart for every week that he drops about Heupel can't recruit and then all these other things. I just think it's funny how like they've all gone silent. Like everyone that did criticize him has gone silent. And then yesterday, like you land that recruit, I saw a couple memes where it was like Heupel can't recruit, and it's like one corner is like a UCF fan, the other thing's like a Pruitt stan. One corner is Vol picks the logo, and the other person is just like other SEC fans. It's all like Heupel can't recruit, and then it's just Heupel on the train saying Heupel goes brr. Like this man's out here doing his best. He's going, like y'all said, he's going public with it, doing his best thing. And then, he's on busing with the boys in full on Jordan 1s, checked out Jordan suit, Vols gear. Like the guy's just living his best life. And, when we hired this guy, he was like, oh, he has no energy. His players hate him. He can't recruit. He can't do all that. But it sounds like to me, he just never had the tools he wanted to have. And you got your AD, like he mentioned with busting in the boys. Like it's so easy for you to do it when you have the right people around you, and you got your AD, your chancellor, like everyone wants you to do what you're doing and is okay with what you're doing. And then on top of that, now you got Spire. It's like absolutely crazy in 2 years, the shift it's made. And I know we kind of like jumped all fucking around, but damn, like Tennessee athletics, I always talk about it. Like it's just crazy what we're doing overall.
It's impressive he wears Jordans. I would never wear those in a million years. So he's got much more than I do. Oh no, dude, bro, I'm like cowboy boots and that's it. Like that's it. I'm country.
I respect the drip for hype. I never would have saw for Josh Heupel being a guy from North Dakota, and I know like he kind of grew up in like the early days of college football, like 2000 and all that. I never would have thought that hype, knowing all I did about him, when I saw him first walk out for a Vol walk, full dripped out in a fucking jumpsuit and some Jordan 1s. This man is dripping, man. I feel like that's like the players gotta love that. Like all the kids that come from, this fucking day and age, at least me being 21, like I feel like a lot of those kids gotta love it.
Can you imagine Pruitt wearing Jordans?
Fuck no. I can Pruitt would wear a pair of New Balances and nothing else. This man would not even put on a pair of Pumas.
Oh God.
I can just see him in some Crocs though.
We've come so far in 2 years. It's amazing.
I still stand by like the idea that Pruitt was like a fucking setup, just a full-on setup.
I would probably agree with that because the first thing that man did was like shit on our fan base for only having like 50,000 at the spring game. He's like, these fans need to show up. Like, like we want a game type environment. It's like, bro, you have like half the stadium filled up. Like, how are you going to like complain about only 50,000 people showing up at practically a glorified practice? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, and on top of that, like he, of course, chooses bottom of the barrel McDonald's bags. Like I can't think of anything worse except Family Dollar.
This man, he literally went into recruits in-state's houses and would tell them that they're not good enough to play at Tennessee. Like, isn't that not crazy to tell kids in Tennessee that you're not their first priority? And then you bring in a coach in Josh Heupel who's had more in-state recruits this year right now alone in like 3 months into the class than the last two classes combined. And one of those classes was his, but I think even in Pruitt's like last two, I think he has even more there. And like the value of in-state, and then on top of that, going out there and like out recruiting this man who brought in like guys like, had to pay players like illegally pay players whenever in his time, whatever, allegedly. But, go get guys that end up going to schools and transferring out to go to Alabama. And then you can bring a guy that just wants to buy in your culture and they want to come to Tennessee. Like, obviously time will tell how it factors in 2 years from now with Heupel. But I feel like energy wise and approachment wise and everything else, like how they're doing it and how they're managing it and promoting it with the fan base. Like, you never saw this involvement ever with Jeremy Pruitt. And I know we always mention fucking Jeremy Pruitt, but it's like just crazy, like what we had. Like, it's honestly crazy. I feel like it set us back so long.
It's a good reminder for all of us. Like, for all the progress that we have made, we have to remind ourselves of all of the turmoil, shenanigans, bullshit that we've had to deal with for the last 10 years. This is a guy that didn't want to recruit players because they had diabetes. I mean, like, the guy's just an idiot. Like, just a complete moron. I mean, there's no other way to put it. But
he probably had diabetes. Like, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
undiagnosed.
Lord knows he gained like 45 pounds when he was here, eating all like Gus's fried chicken.
Heupel's lost 45 since he's been here.
And then like
coincidence, I think not.
But we got rid of that. Barbara's like Butch dip, whatever that thing that Butch Jones had for the player of the game every year. Y'all remember that? Where like I think it was last year where he had like Barbara's like chip dip player of the game or some bullshit like that. We got rid of these gimmicks. We don't have energy vampires anymore. We're in a good place.
We're no longer brick by brick.
We're no longer brick by brick. We're not.
It takes 5 seconds to evaluate a play and play at another play. Like, what kind of
we don't have players mysteriously falling on their helmet, getting injured. So like,
man,
it's amazing. I mean, it really is. 2 years, guys. 2 years that like this has turned around. It's just
another crazy thing. Like, it's kind of crazy seeing him come back now because there's like a lot of guys that are at Power 5 schools, Big Ten schools that Pruitt gave up on that are now entering the portal, which is kind of a coincidence. I think not. A lot of these guys, in-state guys, were never takes for Pruitt. And there's like little proof of people saying that he would literally go out after a visit in a house and go tell his staff, like, I don't want that kid. He's not good enough to play in the SEC. And then those same exact kids are now in the portal and getting pursued by our staff. Like, you have Andre Turrentine. He just recently entered 4-star safety out of Ohio State. That guy wanted to be a Vol since like the day he was born, like from Nashville, played at Innsworth with our now Vol transfer commit Wesley Walker. I hear he's been kind of working that one hard from the Innsworth connection to kind of get him on Rocky Top. But have a guy like that, and he was passed upon, and then he goes to Ohio State, and in year 2 this past week he played 109 snaps in their spring game. And like every article you look up about this guy, it's about how this guy is like one of the top star positions, playing like a safety linebacker hybrid, and that he's going to be a big key for Ohio State. And then I guess there was like a thing where he wasn't kind of guaranteed a starter spot, so he kind of reached out to the portal. And I feel like that's kind of like any local team obviously has a chance, but I feel like if you were to start anywhere I would start with Turrentine because like you see guys like Wesley Walker and a lot of in-state guys right now. I feel like you go and get a piece like that, it's like a perfect kind of addition to the class.
I like that we're going after all these safeties. I mean, we've talked about just how much we needed that.
Fucking Jalen, I'm not gonna trash any kid here, but we saw what happened in the last couple games of the season and what happened in the bowl game and on that final drive when there was like 3 touchdowns in 14 seconds. Like we saw what happened, but I'm not gonna trash him.
It's just mind-boggling to me that we had a guy as our head coach that thought, like, I'm going to try to say this as calm as possible because I'm not trying to lose it, but like that we had a guy that said that this kid wasn't good enough to play in the SEC, but Ohio State was going after him. Like, just think about that for a second. Like, Ohio State was going after this kid. Like, don't you think, like, oh, wow, maybe if Ohio State is going after him, maybe this kid's actually all right. It's maybe not that bad. Like, but, once again, he thought, like, freaking Slaughter, well, Danico Slaughter, whatever his name was good. And he also thought Warren Burrell was more than good enough. No disrespect. Appreciate you give your all. But, like, I mean, we got to talk about the talent difference, guys. I mean, it's just, like, I still haven't gotten over that Purdue game. I haven't. I never will. Like, because that was
I haven't either, man. I haven't forgotten about, like, the last, like, I remember the game a lot, but, like, the final 5 minutes, every time I think about the game, I remember the final 5 minutes and, like, nothing in between, nothing before that, just because of, like, my experience with a lot of Purdue fans. It wasn't a bright experience. I made the worst mistake of my life. I went on Vivid Seats and I saw the map one way, and then I went on Ticketmaster, so I ended up on the Purdue side, and then I had to go back and forth with Purdue fans the whole time. And let me tell you, I saw this group of women, like maybe 5 women, no men in sight in their row, in their group, and they were it was the worst experience of my life. So, a lot of that has to do with Warren Burrell and other players, and I'm not just going to put it on him because we did have a lot of depth issues. Like, we got to think about it. You got a safety and linebacker.
It was that entire thing.
Yeah, I mean,
it was
the entire secondary.
But see, like, they rolled in a walk-on quarterback that, like, threw, like, 55,000 yards against us
without their star wide receiver.
The guy was just nailing everything. It was just like, it was embarrassing. But
we had Purdue members on this podcast talking about how we were going to smoke them and how we were going to win, and it wasn't going to, like, it's just crazy to me. And then like, you're like, oh, it's going to be close, and and then how it went. Like, that's the biggest thing. I feel like that's kind of key to go out there, get a guy like Andre Turrentine. If you can get involved there, man, a guy that was going to be a huge piece for like a team that. Yeah, they lost to Michigan last year, but Ohio State was like, they're still a really, really good team, really, like, well-coached team. So you come in here, you're going to be well-coached. You're from the state, Innsworth native. You got people in your ear. I feel like there's no reason why the Vols shouldn't push super, super hard there or see something coming soon, because I feel like I said it like on the past episodes, most of these kids, when you enter the portal, you kind of know where you're going. So, but I think if you can add him there, the Vols, they want him. And then you got Brew McCoy. I think he has to do something by May 1st because of the rule. Like, everyone's going to have to be entering over the next 3 days. And Tennessee has been really, really quiet in the portal. But if you look at names like Turrentine, Brew McCoy, Marquise Irvin from Minnesota, the running back there, they're going to have to make some moves here soon. Like, he got 5 spots and a lot of depth that needs to be filled, especially on the defensive side, especially at safety and linebacker. So I'm interested to see how it goes there.
I just want to say, since y'all brought up Purdue again, how is anyone even remotely concerned about how we're going to open the season, given how we ended the season and what we've lost? Like, I keep on getting so excited, and then a thought just popped up, and I'm like, dude, what if it's kind of trash?
We open up. I think it's smart how they did it.
We're fine.
I think it's really smart how they did it. They went how they did last year. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Starting off on a Thursday game again, September 1st against Ball State in Neyland. The game got moved up a couple of days, so that must mean like there's really good things about the Neyland Stadium renovation. You're gonna have a brand new Neyland Stadium. I feel like that alone, especially being year 2 and all the recruiting hype by then, like that place should be packed, even though it's on a Thursday. This year we got Hendo Stinko going to be getting the starting nod in the first game of the year. We still put up 38 points on an awful Bowling Green team last year, but I don't expect Ball State coming in to be any different. So I feel like if you start off on a Thursday, you got all that attention, all that national TV. I think Pittsburgh actually ironically plays on the same day as us this year to start off the week. So like there's no advantage there going into week 2. But I feel like week 1, like there's no reason you shouldn't come in, have a rebound game, get all that stuff from last year, the Purdue game, Ole Miss, get that out of the way, come in here, just go out there, dominate on offense, and hopefully you have some guys and additions. And I know we're really banged up at corner. We talking about how bad we are at corner. Like I think there was like 10 DBs that didn't practice in spring that should be able to go in fall. So I'm kind of worried there in defensive wise, but I think they've been making the most what they can just out of injury. But other than that, there's no reason why we shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Ball State's they're awful. I mean, they're just not a good football team. But it's good to have, you know, play Thursday night, even though I hate Thursday night games with a passion just because nothing beats a Saturday, and you can't pregame as much on Thursday as you can on Saturday, of course. But I think one of the reasons why they moved is because of the fact, like Brando said, that Pitt's playing on Thursday night as well. So now we don't have a disadvantage, which is huge, I feel like, especially going on the road. But this isn't going to be the same Pitt team as last year. Like, you know, they're losing Kenny Pickett, he was one of the best quarterbacks they've had in a long time. And they got a good replacement under that kid from Southern California. But there's still going to be a drop-off there. And it's still a very winnable game. It's just, you know, and luckily for us, like, even if we don't somehow win that game, we still play Akron the week after, and you still got a lot of good momentum going towards Florida, which this is the most winnable game we've had, I think, against Florida in years. Now, granted, I feel like I say this every year, but, like, genuinely with going with all the factors and how much we have coming back at offense, we should win that game. But I'm worried a little bit about that defense. As Brando said, we had a lot of guys out in the secondary, and there's still some depth issues, which, you know, Heupel and his staff are trying to fix with the 2023 class. But I still think they should be able to bounce back, and we should at least be 2-1, if not easily 3-0 going into Florida.
I fully agree. I was curious on y'all's takes just because I kind of thought about it, and I was just having like mixed emotions. I feel last year I was one of the only people who said we would lose to Pitt, but this year they've lost so many starters and key components. I feel like we beat them for sure. I agree. We should definitely be at the minimum 2-1, but I fully see us going in 3-0 and beating Florida and then being 4-0. That'd be the dream. But I'm not worried about the Thursday night game because I always plan my vacations around that holiday. So I think I'll be there Thursday night, and then I'll be at the beach for like 7 days and then come back and have the weekend to recover.
Oh, must be nice.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be nice.
Got to think ahead. I planned that in like February.
Well, I mean, we got
there.
The beach does sound nice. I mean, I wonder how Tony Vitello felt. I wonder if he went out to the beach the first 2 games. Probably not.
He was there, dude, like at the BaseVols tennis match they had in the tournament, and he was there like on the court, just staring like a hawk, like at these girls. Like I'd be terrified, even as small as he is. I'd still be like scared shitless having Tony Vitello just stare me down while I'm doing something.
Facts.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention the Pitt thing. I just now remembered, like, we should definitely beat them because I think it was like 21 grad transfers they had compared to like our 7. And a lot of those guys were like super seniors, especially on their defensive line and defense. And Pat Narduzzi is known for his defense, which kind of did give us all the problems. It wasn't really their offense and how crazy they went on offense. It was a kind of low scoring game in the second half. Like we kind of came back and, held them off, but their defense was very, very, elite and kind of well established. Like they've been playing for years. So to have that experience and then go to a team that's kind of younger and in the ACC, I don't see them coming out and living up. Like they're like number 9 right now in the rankings. It's like preseason rankings. I just don't see that sticking. If there's like a couple teams, Pitt's definitely one of them. I don't see like living up to their rank right now. But I think there's no reason you shouldn't go out there and start 5-0. Like, I don't know. Who's after I said last episode, Drew.
What?
Listen, Drew. I said last episode. We're going into Neyland. We're beating Florida. And then the next week, we're going and taking the country out of Brian Kelly's voice. We're going to beat him in Baton Rouge.
No.
No? Tell me why. Tell me who is Brian Kelly going to throw out there on offense to go out there and defeat Tennessee that you're confident can come out here and beat us?
Dude, the last time that we beat LSU on the road was like when freaking Eric Ainge had his head crashing, his skull crushing that field goal post in 2005, and we had Rick Clausen out there. I just we don't play well against West opponents. We just don't. There's no reason any logical reason for us to think that we're going to beat LSU on the road. That is one of the toughest places to play in college football. That's tougher than playing at Alabama, at the Swamp, at Georgia. I don't care. We're not winning that game. The football gods will do anything possible to make sure we don't win that game. Because my God, if we win that game and then we go, I think we play Missouri the next week. We're talking about 6-0
going to Atlanta.
I know. No, I'm
Drew,
not.
Drew, you're telling me if the season rolled around right now, it's not April 27th right now. It's October 10th. And we're right now, it's 4-0. We're going in to play LSU or whatever day it is in September, October. And we're 4-0, about to go in and play LSU in Baton Rouge. And the game got announced as a noon game. And it's not a night game in Baton Rouge, just a regular old noon game, kind of like us playing Auburn a couple of years back in the Pruitt era. And we go out there and we upset them because they have no offense. Thoughts?
Well, first of all, if it was October 10th, I would already know that we were 4-1 because they play on October 1st. Second, if it was a noon game, that's 11 a.m. kickoff over there. So, which our players are not used to and not prepared for. So we would have a disadvantage at that point as well. So
I think we're actually better in noon games than night games. All their practices are 7, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. They're super really orientated to practice how they do with spring practice and all that. I feel like night or noon games are better than night games because you went out there against South Carolina and Missouri and you put up 60 on them during noon games. Who else did you drop 60 on in a regular game?
Awful. Literally my alumni high school in Georgia could have scored 45 points on Missouri's defense. They were atrocious last year on defense.
That run defense was kind of awful, but
we should have scored 80 on them. That was the thing. It's we kind of let off the brakes on the third and fourth quarter. We should have scored 85 points on them easily.
That's true.
We're not beating LSU, okay? No, we're just hold it. Just chill. Let's just be grateful if we beat Florida, okay? Let's just be grateful if that happened.
We're beating Florida. I see it 100%. I was there the last time, but
it makes sense. It doesn't, but that's not the point. It doesn't matter if it factually makes sense that we beat Florida. Florida lost to Georgia Southern several years ago, and they still beat us by 2 touchdowns. So this game is just one of those games that never make any sense. And for some reason, Florida always finds a way to have their season, best season performance against us every single season.
Not this season. Fuck that energy, Drew. Fuck that energy.
I'm being a realist.
I'm saying, Lo. I'm over here confident. We got Negaball Drew over here.
All right, that's fine. And then when I see both of you on voluntary reaction getting all redneck angry and crying on there, I'm gonna be like, I fucking told you to.
Because we're gonna be in kneeling together. It's gonna be the Vols ATB crew pre-game and post-game, and it'll be lit.
Yes,
and then after it happens, I'm gonna tell Drew. I'm gonna timestamp this and clip this. I'm gonna tell Drew I told you so. That we're 5-0.
I hope so. I mean, I got people all the way from Europe. They're flying in for this game, so it's a big deal. Big deal.
LSU.
Yeah, well, no, not for LSU, for Florida. Yeah, I got people flying in from the UK for this game, so it's going to be the biggest game of the year. But I'm prepared to be heartbroken though. So
I'm just saying, if you lock down Cedric Tillman, you got to go out there and go down there and lock down Brew McCoy on the other side of the field. I got 2 grown ass men, and you got a way upgraded Jalen Hyatt. You got a running back room that's Jabari Small healthy. You got Justin Williams Thomas, who we had on the show. You got Jalen Wright. I just don't see a reason if you can get the guys on defense in these next couple of days and throughout the process. There's no reason why you shouldn't go out there and have the best offense in the nation. Josh Heupel, if you look at his stats and we rave about his stats and what he's done before, every single time and every second season he jumps. Every quarterback he has, they jump. Every single person they have, they jump in the next year. This will be the first time if he's ever had a team and staff that's been gifted to him that he hasn't made a significant jump the second year. So if you go out there and have an offense and you have Hendon Hooker out there, you're scoring 40 points a game. I just don't see, if you have any kind of upgrade on defense, I don't see teams being able to score that much as us.
How are we going to stop?
That's what I'm saying. That's what
I'm
saying.
We have to stop them. If I'm going to judge it off last year, we gave up 45 to Pitt. We gave up 49 points, 52 points to Purdue, and gave up 79,000 passing yards as well. And gave up almost 500 yards of offense on Vanderbilt. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
How are they going to stop us? How are they going to stop us? If I'm going
reverse.
If I'm going for a fucking shootout here, I'm taking hyping the guys over anybody.
Look, guys, like I'm not disagreeing. We're gonna have an amazing offense. Like the offense can be great, but like there's a lot of questions that need to be answered on defense. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid. I've drank Kool-Aid for too damn long, and it hasn't worked. So I'm going to try to be realistic. You know, it's the best thing about life. If you stay pessimistic as possible, you won't be disappointed.
No, I mean you're right. Realistically, taking the orange glasses off. I'll be honest. Like you look at the linebacker position, and then you look at the safety position. You just lost Theo Jackson. You obviously saw what you had there last year in the game, and against Purdue. And then you also, what you have coming in, but that's next year. Like you just got a safety commit. But what is Sylvester Smith going to do for you right now? Nothing. It's a 2023, has to play a senior year. So a lot of that help is not going to be coming right now. But what can help is if you go in there and you take advantage of a guy that Prue was like, I don't want you on, and come and bring him. He has 4 years of eligibility. I'll be confident knowing there's at least one extra body there. But when you talk about like the linebacker room and the safety room, you got Juwan Mitchell and Jeremy Banks. But after that, what do you have? You got Solon Page and Aaron Beasley. I'm sorry. Like, I love those two guys in the second team. But if you're like going to be an elite SEC defense, like one, you have to have more than just 2 average linebackers. Like we don't know what we're going to get out of Juwan Mitchell. So linebacker definitely scares me. Losing an experienced guy like Theo and having like Jalen McCullough out there and fucking Burrell on top of like Wesley Walker. And if you do land Turrentine, that room gets a lot better. And then, I'm really confident in the corners, but other than that, like, I can see what you mean. But I'm really confident about our D-line and the edge rushers going into next year. I think Rodney Garner and Eck, I feel like that might be our best group. And I don't know if that does or does not, but, like, a lot of times last year, we didn't get any pressure on the quarterback, and I wonder what our DBs can do if we do get pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we signed, I think it was, we signed a couple good 4-star defensive end, edge rushers as well. And I feel like Elijah Simmons is going to make, a big step, and Tyler Barron too coming back is huge. But I mean, guys, we got to pipe down. All right. Like, I know we're all on the baseball hype, great basketball season. Like, that's awesome. Athletics wise, Tennessee's trending up. Let's just be realistic a little bit. All right, we're not going to go 5-0. So, Brando, let's stop that talk. I'm not going to let you go in your little deep dive and go in your not going to let that happen. I'm going to save you.
I will risk our show brand for this take.
But
and everyone's going to come back and be like, that one guy from
no,
Vols
the hell
ATB.
you won't.
He like everyone's going to mention that one guy from Vols ATB, Brando. He said we're going 5-0. I'll take the slander any day. Fuck it. We're going 5-0.
I'm just prepared to be disappointed. I mean, and I'm not gonna feel sorry for you.
How great would it be if we do nothing in the portal? Like if we don't land any guys at linebacker, and all you do is like land like a guy like Turrentine, and you do miss on like every single edge rusher you went after, and every single like linebacker, because they did miss a lot at the edge. Like you got Jared Verse, now Daryl Jackson, some more guys at edge, like that one Maryland guy. Like they did reach out to him, so like that's 3 in a row. You got no help in pretty much any position but the safety, like with Wesley Walker. I wonder if, like, as it goes on, if you don't get anyone, like, significantly, like, really good in the portal, you kind of just go out there and kind of fill in the gaps with guys that might be able to give you, like, a series or two, or, just bring a guy in and then process them out. Like, do you want to kind of bring that in, or do you not want to kind of risk that relationship in the locker room, just kind of like recycling guys to get depth? Like, you know what I mean? Because obviously you need the help, obviously, and like it's not Wins aren't just going to come by himself. But like, do you want to risk, if the guys aren't good enough or they don't have, more than 2 or 3 years? Like, do you want to go out there and just grab them to plug them in and play?
I mean, but like you got to have depth, man. I mean, this defense is going to play 90, 95, 100 plays a game because it's just how fast this offense is. Like, you got to have guys that be able to rotate 3 or 4 different rotations that can play at a consistent high level as well. Like, our starting 11 defense is good, right? But when you go to those like backups and third strings, that's where the talent difference between us and a lot of those other teams that we face in the SEC, that's what kills us more than anything else. And like, you got to get depth. I mean, like, you might risk that relationship or maybe that vibe in the locker room with the coaches may affect it, turn negative or turn sour, but that's a risk you got to take. I mean, that's a risk that all those other programs take, whether if it's Alabama, Georgia, whomever, like, because they go off the depth, they try to get the talent as much as possible. So I mean, you have to on defense. I mean, I'm sorry, you have to on linebackers.
I don't think it's an issue if they get the right guys and know that they're all in it to win, which, sorry, but I just like to win. And I think that's the goal here. Then you do whatever it takes and whatever your team needs of you. And if that means that happens, then that just fucking happens. Nut up. And then when we have some depth, it's not going to happen. And the best person will have the spot. But until then, you're just going to have to do your part, and it may not be pretty right now. That's just the way it is. At least maybe you can have some of our massive pool of NIL money to comfort yourself if you work hard enough.
Hey, that is true. One thing I want to see different from the defense going into next year probably would be, I think after like every first down that offenses did get on us, I think you just kind of had in the back of your mind, like, all right, they're going to score this drive. Like, they're just going to score it. Because our defense, they were kind of key on, getting quick stops after going out there and you play so quick on offense. And then, especially in the Kentucky game, that kind of worried me. Like, teams, if you do play with tempo, they kind of used it to against us. They just ran it down our throats for like however so long, and they know our guys are going to get tired as the game goes on. If if you don't have those kind of depth on the team, I can see where Drew, is coming from, of guys just being on the field for so long and getting, touchdown after touchdown scored on them. It's going to happen. Like, you're going to go out there and not have, quality depth. But if you can get a second or third team, that's where it kind of changes. Because like Drew mentioned, like our first team defense can probably go out there and compete with everybody. But you're going to be on the field 20, 25 plays in that first drive, second drive, gas. Hendon Hooker's going to go out there and throw a bomb on the first play and score. So you're going to have to go right back out there 15 seconds later. Like, how do you kind of adapt to that? And I think that's kind of key where Drew's coming in. Like, if we're going to be scoring like this, it's going to be a shootout every game, and that's not going to benefit us in SEC play like we saw what happened later in the year. But
it's a hard reality that we have to face, guys. Okay, like, there's just something that we're going to have to build on the recruiting spectrum, is that we got to have depth on defense. I mean, you can watch. I mean, that Kentucky game is a perfect example where our defense was completely exposed, and literally Hendon Hooker and that offense was the only reason why we won that game. And I know it's like way his offense is designed, but like, that's a really important thing that we have to like focus on in the future, is getting some good quality depth. And again, I mean, that's just why we're not going 5-0. So I mean, it's just, I don't know what to tell you guys, but I
just have to say that in the group text, we were like, yeah, this is going to be a quick 35-minute show. And
5 minutes,
solidly over an hour. And I'm just like, how do we do this every time? Honestly,
we need to have show notes today, but fuck it.
I don't know. I've got to hop off of here somewhat soon.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of hint at. We're talking so much about football. We talked about recruiting. I hinted at it the last 2 episodes. The Memorial Day weekend, like, more and more news is kind of coming out there. If a lot of y'all follow Hayes Fawcett on Instagram or Twitter, you saw the news today that, Tony Mitchell, 5-star former Vol commit, who's committed or not committed anywhere right now, kind of a Gators and a Bama lean. That was a Bama and Gators race, but Tennessee's, got their way in there. 5-star corner 2023. Guy was formerly committed to the Pruitt staff and decommitted after the whole fiasco there. But he really does love Tennessee, plays a lot of 7-on-7 ball, and is like really, really close with Nico and all them through that kind of scene. So, if you got that guy in your ear, a 5-star quarterback, and you were once committed, obviously there's love there. To see that Tennessee's kind of back in that race, whether it's NIL or not, or however, whatever's, the relation to it, like, that's kind of key to that. But in my mind, like, you want to get guys here, you want to get depth. You got 5-star Davian Bradley probably coming here on Memorial Day weekend. You got 5-star wide receiver Cardinal Tate, 5-star D lineman Vic Burley. You got defensive guys like Tamarian Parker. All the DBs we're after. Like, it's absolutely crazy what you're doing on defense. And then on offense, you still got guys coming in like Brandon Ennis, 5-star wide receiver, 4-star wide receiver Noah Rogers, Jeremiah Cobb at the running back position. Like, if you want depth, like we all talked about, we need depth, and it's going to come over class. But I wonder if we're going to be patient if we don't get it all done and just reload transfer portal after transfer portal. Like, Hype's going to have to get his guys, and that's what's going to have to happen. But it's going to be year in, year out. Like, it's a full-on high school. It's a full-on year cycle. Like, you got to keep guys in the boat. But the fact that you can look at this list and all the guys that Tennessee's going to be hosting and be like, dang, Tennessee this year might land over 6 to 7 5-star recruits in 2023. It's absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely crazy. And it's talking about like year 2 all show earlier. It's just crazy what he's doing and getting the list here. Like, it's the biggest list in probably 20 years.
That'll easily be the greatest recruiting class we've ever had if we manage to get 7 5-stars. I mean, not even Alabama and those type of programs get that many 5 stars. Like that would be, I don't think words can describe how monumental that would be for Josh Heupel and his coaching staff.
I'm saying like at least 4 to 5. Like I'm not gonna say 6 to 7 is kind of like ridiculous A&M level last year. Like I don't see that being a factor, but like the rankings, like this class composite wise averages out like way better than the 2022 class. It's just crazy the talent that's out there this year.
I mean, even with 4 or 5, though, it's still easily
yeah.
the class we've had in over 20 years. I mean, like not even close, All right. So
I call it a ridiculous shot on the 5-0 part, but I'm letting you know that Tennessee is signing a top 5 class this year. And maybe it's number 5 or number 6, but I'm 100% certain that Tennessee signed a top 5 class.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. 5-0, not happening this year, but I'll agree with the top 5 class.
We get 1-5. Let's go.
Oh my God. Yeah, I like the class. I think it's huge, but I'm kind of leaning towards Drew's side, I guess. I feel a little bit concerned. I'm not going to say we beat LSU at LSU, but we have like so many months before we even need to be talking about this. And it's been 2 or 3 shows now that we've rambled on, and it fucking cracks me up. It's such a it's such a thing. We're already ready for it. We're not even in May. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think everyone, watches for the rambling and stays for the nugs and the very valuable information that we do have on the show sometimes. Sometimes it's worth it. But other than that, it's going to be like a Jeremy Pruitt or a Jeff Massis kind of scenario. And I'm not going to let that man slide. I said before the show, I was going to cover Jeff Massius. I'm going to cover Jeff Massius, the baseball empire. This man back at it again, doing the absolutely horrendous. I just wanted the Vols fans to know, if you're thinking about Jeff and what he's been doing after our series against Alabama, he's been being Jeff and doing horrendous. So there's your Jeff Massius ATB update.
Guys, don't do anything to him. Don't any refs in general. Don't go after them at the airport. Don't send them suspicious packages at their house. Don't say anything vulgar to them in public. We already got a horrible reputation as a fan base, and I'm just saying this is a state speech for the entire Vol fan base. Do not do that. That looks really bad. Really bad on us. So, but yeah, he's a garbage umpire, though. I agree.
I just want to say I doubt anyone in their fucking right mind would be thinking about Jeff at all. Like, if you're thinking about Jeff tonight, I don't know what's wrong with you. I have no clue.
I had to mention it because I was on Twitter and it was like the one thing that I saw Arkansas fans tweeting it, and I was like, well, I'll be damned. Tennessee baseball fans and Arkansas baseball fans finally agreeing on something, and it's about Jeff Massius being terrible at his job. So I definitely wanted to throw that out there as we ended. And then I wanted to kind of end it off with this Larry question. He asked who's going to be the next signee in the 2023 class, probably, in my opinion. I know Drew's over the Larry slander. We've had enough for Drew today. Or not Drew, but Larry.
About Larry. This is just dumb. Literally, it throws everything off about the show. Larry, we appreciate it. But if you want to, put in, that much effort and giving comments every 5 minutes, how about you just come on the show next time? Just give us a DM on the Twitter, and then, we'll set it up for you. Because, honestly, you kind of replaced Alex's spot here tonight. with all your comments.
This man Alex wanted to have an education and get his students' worth for the money he pays in student loans. It's absolutely horrendous, his unfaithfulness to Vols ATB lately. He came on last week, missed a couple of episodes, but I think Larry, we might have to hop in your DMs and have a little interview here because I don't know if Mr. AI over there is cutting it, but
yeah. So
answer his question
ready for us. Get a nice little cover letter. Tell us why you did a great job. We really
the Vols ATV resume. We take it very serious over here. So I'll be expecting a response in 3 to 5 business days. But to answer his question, I think the next signee, you kind of been doing everything at D line and offensively. I think it probably has to be a defensive guy. He just landed Caleb Herring and Sylvester. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another DB. I look at guys probably close, probably Zach Myers, that 4-star DB out of South Carolina. That could probably be one. Or, some other guys I don't know, probably I think Zach Myers, Brandon Strozier, a lot of guys on defense are probably guys to watch that are probably close. Christian Conyer, I think they're trying to probably lock down that DB class and get that kind of rolling. I think as it goes on, you'll probably see more like the linebackers and defensive line, because I think there's a lot of guys that they're after on defensive line and linebackers that are being like really sought out after hard schools like LSU, Georgia, like CJ Allen. He's definitely a take at Georgia if he wants to be there, and Vols are definitely battling there. So if you can go in there, not all the guys are going to be like Sylvester and just commit straight up and tell these other schools no. Like they're going to be in some really, really long battles. But I think overall, like Tennessee, like the recruiting scenario in general is going to be ridiculous. I think in May, probably get like 4 or 5 commits. Probably it's going to be crazy. Crazy month. And that's not including transfers. Like we got 3 transfers on the way.
That's pretty awesome. I just want to say I kind of like the idea of having a listener come on the show. I think that'd be pretty badass.
Whoa. I don't hate it, but I don't know about, for the sanity of Drew and his
I just wanted to chap Drew's ass. I love all of our listeners, though. Give Larry a break, man.
I mean, shout out to Larry for listening. I appreciate it. But, yeah, I mean, wrong first step he had over there with that, uncalled for comment on the show. Just unbelievable.
Wait, hold on.
What does he got to say now?
Nothing. I was just trying to this comment right here.
For fuck's.
Bro, I didn't know this was a feature until today, and I am absolutely in love with this feature. Oh my God, here's a new comment.
Oh my God. Go to hell, man.
Larry versus Drew. Everyone wanted the Andy versus whoever rap battle, the Andy versus whoever battle. I'm going to the bank. Larry versus Drew. We got to book it.
Oh my God, that'd be funny.
Larry versus Drew, word for word, bar for bar.
Yeah. Just give me a play. Time. Let's go.
Be the Vols ATB Vol Quest. Put it behind a paywall and call it a day.
We appreciate you, Larry. Whatever you're.
Yeah, definitely made the episode a lot more fun and kind of filled in a lot of time. I expected to be like 30 minutes and dip on y'all, so I'm not gonna lie. But other than that, a lot of just transfer portal stuff. We got the best baseball team in the country. Football and basketball, they're kind of rebuilding and finding their team before the season starts next year. So other than that, we just got to enjoy the ride with Tony Vitello and the boys, man. It's just have fun with it, even though it's kind of making me feel some type of way about our other athletics, But we're going 5-0, Drew. We're going fucking 5-0.
Oh my God. Oh man. Y'all are killing me. I got to dip off of this thing. Y'all can argue about 5-0 all night.
No, I'm done with it. I made my point clear.
I've made my argument clear. I've made my stance, Larry, very clear.
Yeah, I just look out for a commitment from a Turrentine in like the next week. Brew McCoy probably May 1st. I think we might get 2 transfers in the next 5 days. There's my little nug to end the show off with. But other than that, I'm happy how we end it here.
All right. Well, I guess I'll close us out then. Make sure if you are in Knoxville or surrounding areas of Knoxville, get out there to Lindsey Nielsen this weekend. Watch Tony and the boys hopefully kick Auburn's ass. Good top 25 matches, though, so that's exciting. I'll be there Friday. I don't know about the other days, but I know I'll be there Friday. So if you see me and you aren't going to be an asshole, come say hi.
Amen.
Anyone else have anything to add?
No, we're just going 5-0. All right. Have a good night, y'all. Good night.
All right.
All right. Good night.
I'm out.